Real talk, part 2. Children will play with everyone until someone tells them not to. So in part 1, I spoke about the brave decision my father made. A decision rooted in principle, not pressure. But courage comes at a cost. And this is where that cost became real. And when my father refused to sign a fatwa declaring other Muslims as kafir, the backlash didn't just fall on him. It fell on us, his family. We were labeled, we were isolated, and we were treated like outsiders in a community we belonged to. At just 12 years old, in the late 80s, I was told I could no longer attend madrasa. We were no longer welcome in our local masjid. I still remember the last night we went. It was Ramadan, Taraweeh Salah, a night meant for unity, mercy, and reflection. But as we walked in, committee members stood up and walked out, not because of what we did, but because of who they believed we were. And later, the message became very, very clear. Sympathizers are not allowed in Ahlul Sunni masjids. Imagine that, being told you don't belong in the house of Allah. And for years after that, we prayed in masjids outside our area, places where people didn't know our names, our story, or the labels placed on us. Dit was soos hy gevoel, man. That moment van Umkhonto Wesizwe going underground. Yes, it was that moment. So the Eid days became different, not joyful like before, and some people were too afraid even to greet us. A simple Eid Mubarak became something controversial. And then came the part that stayed with me the most, and that's with friends. Children don't hate, they don't divide, they don't see sects, politics, or labels. They just play, and they laugh, and they connect. And until someone tells them not to. Ja, en ek was dit eendag 'n close friend van my, en staan by die voordeur soos ek altyd doen. But this time, it was different. Hy kyk na my swaaman, en ek was mos 'n Afrikaanse laaitjie, en hy was 'n Engelse laaitjie. And he told me, he can no longer play with me anymore, because his father said so. That moment, that's when you realize division is taught. But not everyone walked away. Some of my friends stood firm. Yeah, real ones. They invited me to join the Muslim youth group, going house to house, making takbir at the end of Ramadan. I was hesitant because deep down I already knew not every door would open for me. And I was right. And some house families made me feel uncomfortable, and one family refused to let me enter their home. But here's what mattered. My friends didn't leave me at the gate. They stood with me. That loyalty, that courage, that humanity, it meant everything. Yes, so real talk is this. Sometimes the biggest tests don't come from enemies. They come from our own people. Sometimes standing for truth will cost you comfort, community, and relationships. But it also reveals something very powerful in who truly stands for what's right, and who simply follows pressure. And maybe the biggest lesson of all, that hate is taught, but so is loyalty, so is truth. So, real talk, wie's op het with part 3. Coming soon.
Wie's op het? Kyk Flat Stories met Anwar Sadat.